Good evening, everybody. Welcome to my Facebook Live this evening. My name's Jenny McCormack. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator, if this is the first time you've come across me. And I live in a little market town called Brackley, and that's in the centre of the UK. So thank you for joining me. If you're watching on Catch Up or on YouTube, thank you so much. You'll be able to comment, but obviously I won't be able to respond to your comments until a later date. So let me show you what we've done so far this week, and today is very much a stepped up version. So on Monday we started with this stamp set by the dock, and all of the series of cards I'm making this week are all scenery cards. So based on creating scenery of some kind. Hi Carol, hi Katie, hi Tracy, hi Zilla. So I started off with this on Monday using the by the dock, this little wooden pier, and just using some brayering techniques on this one. Added the little bird in as well. And then this one is the same thing but done with watercolour. So I've used ink refills and our aqua painters, painted this scenery in. This is stamped in Stays On to stop it running, and then I've just added a little bit of detail across the background. So that was Mondays. Tuesdays was using the Mountain Air stamp set that features these lovely mountains, this line of trees, and these trees here. There's also a set of dies that go with the Mountain Air stamp set. Yesterday I combined the two of those. So I've added the mountains in the far distance with the sun going down, some water, and again this was brayered, and then the little pier at the bottom. So building that up. Hi Jeanette, hi Carol. So today I'm going to step it up again, and this time I'm doing a combination of brayering, we're doing some masking, some paper piecing, and some framing, all on one card. So definitely a stepped up version, although the layout is very similar. So let me move these ones out of the way for the moment, like so. So this is, I haven't put this together, but I wanted to show you roughly how it was going to look. So I wanted to do a sort of sample one to show you what we're going to end up with, all being well. So you can see how this has been created. So the first thing I've used are the die cuts, the dies to cut this frame, and also the panel that we're going to stamp on behind it. Now these are new dies in the autumn winter catalogue, so our sort of July to August to December. They're called Celebration Labels dies. They're these ones here, so they go large through to small. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 layers all together. And what's really nice about this is they're stitched on the inside and the outside, if you can see that in the light. And obviously you can layer these to get larger borders or smaller borders by putting any two of those together. And because it's got this little kink in the middle, they're perfect for folding over to make little toppers for bags and things like that. Let me see if I've got a cutout one that I can show you. So this one will do. So this is actually the inside of that soft suede that I've cut. So what you can easily do is score that if you want to, or literally just fold it in two. Take a bone folder, so you're better off scoring it because I've creased that rather badly, but soon uncrease it, so that you have the perfect little topper for a bag. So you can just pop a bag in there and just pop some staples in if you need to, and then you can have another one on the inside, or you could have a circle punch, anything you want to do to decorate that. Obviously you probably wouldn't use soft suede, but it's a fantastic set of dies for doing just that, especially for quick Christmas presents, because even if you had a notebook, you could pop it into a cellophane bag, pop one of these on the top, glue it down or staple it, and then you've got a really nice gift. And obviously you can decorate this further, and you could use the smaller dies to decorate this. So you could have another layer there, and then another layer on top of it if you wanted to, if that makes sense. So those are just folded over. So lots of things you can do with these. This is the first time I've used them today. They're called Celebration Labels dies. They do have a matching stamp set, but I just purchased the dies on their own this time round because I could see how useful these frames are going to be. So that's the first element. So what I've done for the card is I've cut out this in Very Vanilla. So this is the second size down, and then this is the second and third size down. So that would fit on top of that. If I don't move my fingers around, it'll fit exactly. Okay, and so what I'm going to do is create my scene on here, layer this on top, and put that whole thing onto a card. So this fits really nicely on our standard A6 card. I'm going to turn this around because there's a very slight difference top to bottom. There we go. So that should be an exact fit. So this is a perfect fit for our A6 card here in the UK. So I'm going to be working on this, and so for this I'm going to stamp the little girls and the pier. Then I'm going to cover those up with some post-it notes, do the browing across the background. I think I'm actually going to have a bit of a sunset in the back, and then I'm going to paper piece the two dresses of the girls, and then finish this up with birds and things like that. So have a look at the sets that you've got. These girls came to mind when I was working yesterday, because I was thinking of the beach and how nice it would be to have the girls on the beach. That's my plan. So let me see who has joined us in the meantime. Jeanette, Heather, thank you. Abby, thank you. So let us get cracking. I've got some different papers for the girls' dresses. So I've got one there, that's the same as the one, and then I thought this would make a really pretty dress. So we're going to paper piece that as well. So I'm going to start off just with this base layer here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp the girls and the pier, and what I've got is another frame here that I'm just going to pop on there to get a feel for the position. Now what you can do is just take a pencil, and where you've got anything critical, I'm just going to draw the edge of the frame, because obviously I don't want to have this in the way when I'm stamping, because I might want to stamp off the edge, but it will give me an idea of where that frame is going to sit approximately. Okay, because I don't want the girls to be, you know, off in the corner, and equally I don't want too much or too little of the little pier. So literally just pop that on, drawn around it. Now probably what I should have done was actually done it with the one that I'm going to use, but that is close enough. One thing I did use to create the frames is our new magnetic plate. So we have a new die cutting machine, and one of the options, or one of the items that you can now purchase along with the machine, is a magnetic plate. And this is a full magnetic plate, so it is literally a sheet of strong magnet, but it's not as strong as the previous magnetic plate that we had. What is good about it is its complete sheet, and this is a self-healing mat. So you can see where I've cut into it this afternoon, but the mat itself will heal to an extent, and the whole thing is magnetic. So if you had our previous magnetic platform, you may remember that it consisted of lots of dots of magnets. So they're like 6 magnets, and then they were in lines. And the only problem we had was if you had a very small die, then what would happen was if it fell between 2 sets of magnets, it could start spinning. And if you're trying to die cut a stamped image, that's a real nightmare. Whereas this, it doesn't move around, it stays where you put, but it's not so strong that you can't actually lift it up. Okay, which was one of the other problems. When it was on there, it was the devil to pick up. So all I did for my frames, where I put the 2 down, as you can see here, put the 2 down on top of the paper, put the plate on top, and ran it through. So you can use this magnetic sheet in, oh, I better put that back, in a Big Shot die casting machine, and obviously it's very much designed for our one, but as I say, it is self-healing, so it doesn't cut, it'll cut into that eventually. Right, let's get cracking. So I'm hoping you can see this. I have actually got my light on, but it's reasonably light at the minute. Just cleaning that. I could see there was some ink on the side. Let me dry that off now, like so. So the first thing I'm going to do is stamp my young girls here and the pier as well. So I'm going to use Early Espresso, and I have my inks here, all being well. So Early Espresso. Hello, Linda. Lovely to have you join us. So I'm going to pop this here. This was my sort of, let's see what this looks like, practice run, which actually came out fine. So I'm going to pop the girls in a similar position. And when you're doing scenes, what you just need to be aware of is the size of things relative to each other. So you could do this with things like the lighthouse, but you wouldn't have the lighthouse here where the girls are, because the lighthouse is obviously in real life much, much bigger. So just need to be aware that the bigger the item is, the closer to the front it would need to be, because it's closer to you. Okay, let's get this round the white way. Now Fiona, after seeing me struggle yesterday, kindly lent me a block eye, and of course I proceeded then to find mine. It was exactly where it should have been. It was in my block box, but of course because they're see-through, it was right at the very bottom flat, so I couldn't see it. Right, just want to bring this up because obviously this is going to go off the edge of the paper. So there we go. So this worked about fine with my frame on it, so I really want a similar position to that. It's not going to be exactly the same. I otherwise I'd have put it on the Stamparatus. So I'm just going to bring this in and put it down. So I'm not worried about the bird. The bird's going to be cut off like that. See what that looks like. Yep, that's perfect. That will do nicely. Wipe that down. And wipe the girls down. Okay, so now I've done that, before I do my brayering, I'm going to rab out these lines, okay, because if I do the brayering on top, there will be ink on top of them, and then it'll be much more difficult to remove. So I'm going to grab a good quality rubber. That is the key. And I always keep my rubbers in a separate little box so I know where they are and so they don't get grubby or anything. Although this border would be covered up a little bit by the frame, we don't really want a little bit of pencil line showing, just in case. And you could do it without that. You could just sort of guesstimate where it's going to go. Okay, so there we have our girls and our little Pia. So what we're going to do is cover these up so I can brayer over them. So I've already cut this out. So this is stamped on a post-it note. Nearly said a postage stamp then. Stamped on a post-it note, and I've cut out with my scissors. I thought you didn't need to see me do that really. And so I'm going to pop that onto here. Now I haven't really worried about the posts because they're quite a small area, and I'm going to go over this with the blends pen anyway. Now the girls I do need to cover up as well, because otherwise the line of scenery will go right through them. So I've cut this one out beforehand. I've got an original one somewhere. I don't know what I've done with it, because I cut it out ready. So I stamped it and I've cut around it. And again, there's little areas that I haven't worried about. So for example, the handle of the buckets, I didn't bother to cut around those. And you'll notice that it's just inside, well, just inside of those lines. So that means I can brayer now and they will be covered up. So let's give this a go. I'm just going to move these out of the way for the moment. So I've got some brayers at the ready. And the colours I've got, and I've just marked these temporarily as I showed you on Monday, just with a bit of post-it notes. So I've got Seaside Spray, I've got a Balmy Blue, and I've got So Saffron. So Saffron is going to be my sand. Then I'm going to go to Seaside Spray, and then I might actually have Floaty Flamingo to make it into a sort of sunset sky. So you go from the sand to the sea to the sky. So I'm going to start with So Saffron, and I have my inks here at the ready. Hello Louise, nice to have you join us. So here is my So Saffron ink. I'm going to lift this one out of the way. And what I'm actually going to do is turn this on its side, because I want to bring it in from the edge. I'm right-handed, so I always start on the right-hand side. If you're left-handed, you would probably start on the left, and I do like to have it in the going in the easy direction. If you leave it like this and go acrossways, it's quite easy to get this at an odd angle, and then you get sort of marks alongside. So I'm going to turn that over, and then I'm going to ink this up and then brayer it across the centre. These bits here I added afterwards. So, quick sip of coffee. So I'm rolling this sponge brayer right the way through, and again rolling it on my paper, and you do want some paper underneath, obviously. Okay, so I'm rolling this up to and including a little bit behind the girls, although they could literally just be on the edge of the water, couldn't they? Okay, so I'm just using the brayer, and I do like the sponge brayer. It's nice and soft, it's quite forgiving, and you can load up as much as you want, and you can make this go obviously as dark as you want as well. So that's going to be my sand. Okay, I'm then going to change to Seaside Spray, and I'm going to add in the water. Let me know that that light is okay for you. I have got my own craft room light on, but let me know if it's casting too much of a shadow for you. Okay, so inking this one up. So this is Seaside Spray, so this has already had some on previously, and I'm just introducing it over the edge like so. Now obviously if you didn't want this as deep, you could mask off the top with a little bit of post-it note. I'm quite happy for this to sort of blend in, as you can see here, blend in, and it looks like the edge of the water. That scratching noise is my dog, who's digging for Australia at the minute. Okay, so I'm happy with that. And then I'm going to actually go back to my So Saffron brush and take it to Flirty Flamingo, because I want a little bit of like a sunset effect. Cassie! Yeah, see how obedient she is, can't you? Okay, so this has got Flirty Flamingo in, and to make sure I didn't roll the colour of this off, I know, but I know it is quite a pale So Saffron, so just going to introduce this as a sky. And obviously you can make these colours go really dark if you wish. So just adding that in. I could have added a sun in as well. And then I'm just going to make it darker at the very top. And if you do it so it's overlapping, you get that look of sort of lines of sunset. Like so. Okay, so if I now peel these away, all being well, my girls on there are white and my pier is white, like so. So to colour my girls in, I am going to stamp on some paper, helicopter going over, to do their dresses, and I'll just do a little bit of colouring with my blends pen. So I'm just going to add, this is soft, light petal pink even. So I'm just doing the arms and legs, just literally a brush, no more than that. There's a little bit of this girl's face in there, like so. Like that. Okay, so let me find those bits of paper I was going to do for the dresses. So here they are. That one looks nice with that colour. This is a bit of a clash, but never mind. So I'm going to find the girls again, stamp them onto each of my pieces of paper, and then just cut out the dresses. So doesn't really matter which one. If I do it in the middle, I can choose, can't I? So this is just to get an outline for the dress, like so. So this is called paper piecing, because you take stamped pieces of paper and layer them onto something else. So find my scissors, which have done a runner. Come on, tell me if you see them, if they're right in front of me, won't you? They really can't be very far away. Right, so I'm going to do this one in the pink. So I'm just literally going to cut round the dress, and that is all. Okay, I don't need the hair or the arm. Like so. And so that is going to fit on my little girl like that. And let's do the same for the other one. So what I'll do is I'll keep that one in with the stamp set, because I might need another little dress another time. Same with this one here, because then they're ready. I don't have to re-stamp them. So I'm just going to do the same with this skirt, dress. This one has little cap sleeves, like so. Yeah, just trying to work out where that went to, like so. There we go. So they've now got pretty dresses. So what you can do is just put a little bit of colour behind. So I'm just going to put a little bit of the brown around the edges, so that if I have cut very slightly short. You could do this with pink, for example. Then you don't have a hole between that and the girl. You don't have to do this, it's just an extra step really. If you've been accurate in your cutting, then you won't need to do that step. So just adding some hair. So this is light crumb cake, but you could obviously use any hair colour. Oh, I have a dark one, but it's very dark, so let me just stick with this for now. Like so. There we go. So now we're going to pop those on, and can you see that just sort of covers up any little gaps. I'm sorry about the light. Seems to look better on my screen than it does in front of me, so that's something. So I'm just going to add a little bit of wet glue for the dresses. Obviously you could just colour in the dresses as well with your blends pen. So there's 1, 2, just make sure that you're putting the glue on the reverse side of the dress, obviously, like so. And there's just going to add a little bit more pink in there. Like so. There we go. And then I'm just going to colour the buckets. So I've got, what have I got? Light Night of Navy. It might be a little bit dark actually. I never quite know what colour I should do the buckets. I always think, you know, what colour are buckets? Every colour, I suppose. There we go. I could make the tops a little bit darker, but I don't think you'll notice the shading, particularly at this time of night. And then finally I'm just going to whiz some colour onto our pier. So I've got bronze colour here, which I'm just going to use for the detail. And then colour in with a crumb cake probably. Do this one a little bit darker, like so. Bear in mind the very edge is going to be covered up anyway. Okay, just going to whiz that one over really quickly. Looks like I need a new crumb cake pen. Is that light still okay for everybody? There we go. There we are. So there's our scene coming together. Now I've got some birds that I can pop in the sky, and I've got this little bit that I thought was nice around the bottom to frame it, but that would be optional. Let me pop the frame on so I can see what it's looking like. Yep, that's working perfectly. So I'm just going to add these little grasses at the bottom, like so. They're so pretty. This could be lavender, it could be all sorts of things. Just to sort of set that in the front, like that. And then I'm going to add some birds flying off into the sunset. I might put that too close to the edge, so I'm going to bring this one in a bit further. There we go. Okay, let's have a look at it with the frame. So as I said, there's one way this is an exact match, which I think is what I've got there. If you can see that, okay. So can you see here, this bird was just on the edge. Now, making sure I've got that the right way round, because there's a very, very slight difference. So I think I was right the first time. Like so. So all I'm going to do, I could put that up on dimensionals. You could put a piece of acetate behind it to make it look like a photograph. I'm just going to turn that over, add some dabs of glue just along the sort of centre line here, like that. So you could do this with any frame that you've got, so where you've got sets of dies that are concentric or go in steps. So circles would work, rectangles, ovals, anything really to create that frame shape. Just going to pop that on there. There we go. And that's going to go onto a crumb cake card base. Now I could actually put that through an embossing folder to make that, give that a little bit more interest. As the light's going, I'm not going to do that for this evening because I want you still to be able to see that in good lighting. Okay. So you could add a small sentiment to here. Obviously if you did this one in portrait, you could lift it right to the top and have a long thin sentiment at the bottom. If you wanted to for this one, you could put a sentiment going across or across at that angle. I think I'm going to pop this up on dimensionals just to give it some interest. And I did think you could run the frame through one of our wood embossing folders, or you could stamp it with a wood style stamp to give that a little bit of interest, or you could have cut out some patterned paper for the frame. So lots of different options really. I'm just taking the layers off here. Hi Claire, thank you for joining us. I hope you're well, and I hope Matty's doing alright too. Let's put one in the middle. There. There we go. Well, that base doesn't look very straight. Not sure what I've done there. So if I can correct that though. That's better. Just want to make sure that's roughly in the middle. And there we go. There's our finished card design. So let me show you the steps from there. So that was my practice one, which I will probably add a frame to, because that will still work. So when you've got frames, what I wanted to show you is, if you start with a frame an exact size of C6, you can use that as a frame in its own right. I could then just pop this on the inside, obviously stick that down correctly, so that gives you a different size of frame. Okay, so don't be afraid to do that. You could also use that and then use a smaller inside layer, so this becomes the frame, the bit in between. So I think that's what I'm going to do with that one, actually, is pop that onto there. So these were the others that I did earlier in the week. So this one with the mountains, trying to stand out of the light, sorry. Wider mountain scene. And then this is the one just with the pier in watercolour. And in the pier, the little pier, just with the water and the sand. So I hope that's been useful. So I started off stamping the girls and the pier. I then covered them up with a mask, like so, and the same with the pier. I used our sponge brayer to go over with 3 different colours, removed the post-it note, stamped and cut out the dresses for a little bit of paper piecing, and added those, and then added some blends pen for the pier and also for the details of the girls and the buckets. Added the grass at the front and the trees in the background. So I hope that's been useful and you've enjoyed it. Thank you so much for joining me today. I shall be back tomorrow, Friday, at 3 p.m. for another stamper scene. I've got a few ideas, because when you start this sort of thing where you've got a theme, it's amazing how many things you can pick up and put together. So I hope you are able to catch me tomorrow at 3 p.m. That will be live, or you can catch me on replay here, or watch all of my catch-ups on YouTube. Just search for Jenny McCormack or Gemini Crafts. Thank you so much. Thanks, Jeanette. Take care, everybody. I hope you're able to stay safe, look after each other and keep well. I hope you can keep crafting, and I look forward to crafting with you again soon. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.